Someone at work says one small needy thing, asks you to check their message again, lingers a beat too long at your desk, and before you've thought anything at all, your jaw sets. The eye roll is already halfway up. You didn't decide to feel it. It arrived ahead of you. That speed is the thing to notice. Real judgment is slow. It weighs, it hesitates. What you felt was faster than judgment. It was recognition. We tell ourselves our reactions to people are perception, that we're just seeing clearly, reading the room, calling it as it is. And most of the time, that's a comfortable lie you never have to test, because the people you dislike do give you reasons. But there's a specific reaction that isn't perception at all. And once you can feel the difference, you can't unfeel it. It isn't the mild stuff that gives you away. Plenty of people annoy you a normal amount, and that tells you nothing. You dislike them, you move on, you forget their name. The tell is heat. It's when the contempt is a size too big for the offense. When a stranger does something small, and you feel a flare of disgust, that would embarrass you if anyone could see the size of it. Someone posts a photo fishing for compliments, and you feel genuine scorn. Not, that's a bit much, but a hot little verdict on their whole character. Someone can't make a decision, and you don't just find it inconvenient, you find it contemptible. Notice the math. The reaction is out of proportion to what actually happened. And whenever a feeling is too big for its cause, the rest of it is coming from somewhere else. Here is the somewhere else. Early in your life, you learned that certain parts of you were not allowed. Not evil parts, just traits that, in your particular house, at your particular age, got you punished or laughed at or quietly withdrawn from. Maybe your neediness once reached for someone and found no one there. Maybe your anger got you called difficult. Maybe wanting to be seen got you shamed for showing off. So you made a deal, the way every child does. You took that trait and you put it somewhere you'd never have to look at it again. And then you did the more thorough thing. You forgot you'd hidden anything at all. That hidden pile has a name. Jung called it the shadow. It isn't the villain of you. It's just everything about yourself you decided, long ago, was unacceptable and stopped looking at. The trouble is that a buried trait doesn't die. It doesn't even weaken. It just loses its name and goes looking for air. And the mind has an old trick for this. What it cannot stand to feel on the inside, it learns to find on the outside, because out there, it's safe to hate. This is projection, stripped of the jargon. The disowned thing inside you is unbearable, so your attention hunts for it in other people, where you can finally have the reaction you were never allowed to have it yourself. You get to feel the disgust in full. You get to be righteous about it. And you never once suspect that the person in front of you is only holding up a mirror. So look at who enrages you, not who you dislike, who you can't stand. If it's the attention seeker, the one who always needs the room turned toward them, ask how much of your own wanting to be seen you buried so deep, you now call it shameful in anyone who shows it. If it's the pushover, the one who can't hold a line, who folds, ask where your own softness went, the part that once needed and reached and got nothing back. If it's the arrogant one who takes up space without apologizing, ask what you decided about your own size and how young you were when you agreed to make yourself smaller. The person carrying, out in the open, the exact thing you locked away in the dark, that person will feel unbearable to you, not because they're worse than everyone else, because they're honest about the thing you had to bury to survive. And here's the part that should stop you. The trait you buried is still running. You just can't see it because it operates from the one blind spot you're guaranteed never to check: the belief that you, of all people, don't do that. The person who swore they'd never be needy becomes needy in ways they'd never call needy. The silent test, the withdrawal, the waiting to be chased. The one who despises arrogance carries a quiet, immovable certainty that they're right about everyone. What you refuse to own doesn't leave. It just drives from the back seat, wearing your hands on the wheel. That's the cost of the burial. Not that the trait is gone, that it's loose. It leaks out sideways as the very behavior you built your whole personality against, and you're the last person in the room to notice. Which is why the contempt is worth so much more than it looks. That flare of disgust you feel at a stranger, the one that's a size too big, is not information about them. It's a confession about you, arriving in the only form you'll actually pay attention to. Your judgments are a map, not to their flaws, to the exact places you stopped looking in yourself. Every person who makes your jaw tighten is standing, without knowing it, on a door you sealed a long time ago. You've been reading that map backwards your whole life, treating the heat as a verdict on them when it was always a coordinate pointing home. None of this asks you to like the people who enrage you. Some of them really are difficult, and clear sight is not the same as forgiveness. It asks something smaller and much harder. The next time the disgust arrives too fast and too hot, before the story about them assembles itself, catch the size of it. Feel that it's too big. And instead of asking what's wrong with them, ask the other question. The one you buried so well, you forgot it was a question at all. What am I looking at out there that I could not bear to keep in here? Because the trait you can't stand isn't your enemy walking around in someone else's body. It's the part of you that's been waiting all this time, in a room you swore you'd never reopen, for you to finally recognize your own face in the dark and let it back in.